So speaking of, has there ever been a time in your investigations where you actually were freaked out or scared?
Well, just to continue along with that, I was attacked by Walter once.
Not when you felt the energy. This was a
No,
different
this was several investigations later. I was upstairs in his little bachelor's apartment, and I was standing over by that closet in the back where you heard the sound of the brick fall. And this was during the beginning of the evening when you would take people around and just give a general history of what the building was about.
Yeah.
And so I'm standing by the closet, and just like that, my legs started tingling and shaking. And I'd had interactions with Walter before, EVPs, communication, and he and I ended up with some sort of weird relationship that every time that we went on the investigations, I would go and seek him out and try to communicate. And so this evening, I don't know whether he was trying to play games with me or what, but he started on me. And it's middle of winter, and I'm standing by the window, and I thought, okay, well, it is cool in here. Maybe I'm just chilled. And then it got worse and worse. And then I realized, because of where I'm standing, I realized what he was doing. And because we'd had this interaction, it's like, Walter, knock it off. And he let go.
So what do you think he was doing?
I think he was trying to possess me.
Oh, okay. And where exactly were you standing again? Like near the window?
I was
at the back of his apartment.
I was in the back of his apartment.
By the shower.
By that little closet.
Yeah. Okay. But you couldn't move for a second?
I could shuffle. I wasn't paralyzed to the spot, but it was just from the waist down. It's just ice cold.
So that freaked you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Trudy?
Oh, well, Walter scares me. He knows he does. He always has. Because he doesn't like women. That's well known. He doesn't like women. And we went into his apartment. You go to the right where all those lockers are. The one time we came in, it was just me and him walking down there. And I could feel him just like right on my back. Just I felt the anger. And it scares me because I don't know what he's going to do. And he's been known to throw stuff at people and hit people, and that scares me because I don't know. And I said to Ian, I said, I got to get out of this room. He's right on me. He wants me out. And you can stay here all by yourself. And I left. And after I left, I said, he's in that corner where there's a pile of wood. I said, I know he's over there. I can feel something over there. And he asked him after I left, was that you? And he said, yeah. He got an EVP on the recorder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's amazing what's in that building, the type of experiences we've had
Attic
over the years.
and basement, different energy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's almost like different communities.
It is.
So after that, we started focusing on little David.
Not as freaky.
As
No.
opposed to
Look
Walter.
into
We
it.
kind of just decided, let's just leave him alone, and we'll focus on little David.
Although we didn't know it was little David.
No?
We knew there was a child that was fond of me because every time I was there, he was talking to me, and I'd get that device that Ovilus that speaks.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get all these sweet words like hug and kiss, and it was very childlike. And near the end of when the customer said no more, I found out it was little David. All
How did you
along
find out?
on the Ouija board.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
at the beginning of that night, he requested to talk to me, and we went into that room with oh my God, I forget.
Yeah, there was the one evening that when you did the seance at the beginning of the evening, David came through the board, and you always asked, are you associated with anyone here at the custom house? And the planchette pointed to Trudy. Mm-hmm. And, she's a little freaked out over this.
It's a Ouija board.
Ouija board.
It's a Ouija board, yeah.
And it's pointing at you.
And,
Yeah. But we knew it was David's energy.
Then, we knew it was David because he had come through the board. And so, fine, we'll start our evening, do our investigating, and we went up to the attic because we hadn't gotten away from Walter yet at that point. And I guess people downstairs were Shannon and some of the guests were using the Ouija board, and David kept coming through, and all he would say is, I want to talk to Trudy. I want to talk to Trudy. It didn't matter what anybody asked him. on the board. He says, I want to talk to Trudy. And finally, somebody from your staff had to come upstairs to the attic to find us to say, hey, guys, we need you to come downstairs. We've got a problem here.
Yep.
And
that's when I went on the board. It was Shannon. I forget the other lady that was with us.
Okay.
And we were, because I said I wasn't going to go on without Shannon because she knows that the Ouija board better than
She
me.
was like a magnet.
I'm like,
for
I want
energy.
somebody who knows what they're doing if anything goes wrong here.
Yeah.
And he spoke to me, and we had he video recorded it. It's like a 20-minute conversation. He just wanted to talk to me.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, because he would have blocked the board.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know in the group here if anybody's ever used the Ouija board or if you agree with them or not, and I completely understand if you don't. But we've used them forever. It was the reason actually I got into this business was because of a Ouija board, and for that reason, I feel close to it. And looking into the history of it, it's not as dangerous as the horror movies would have you think. It's basically just a divination tool like divining rods, but created for multiple people at once. So everybody can combine their energy and use it to reach the other side. Of course, it comes with its dangers. Not as crazy as the horror movies, but it comes with its
No,
dangers.
but you can get a lot of negative energy.
there certainly
You
are
can?
risks associated with it.
Yeah, no, I've always been very open about the rules, like the idea that you never use it in your home because you want to be relaxed there. So if you draw negative energy and you don't want it affecting you or your family, as well as always saying goodbye to close the session, even if it's just mental, and never treat it like a game. So it's a very serious communication tool. So people using it, that's so funny. It's just you're asking for trouble. So we've always used them, and I'll tell you, some of the best results came through because it's a communication tool that can speak to you. So I loved it, and as well, it stirred stuff up.
Well, that certainly helped us a number of times at the custom house, just finding out who these spirits were. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we knew the Dark Lady. The first we had heard of Walter, not experienced him, but after the experience of that first time, he came through the board and said, my name's Walter, I'm the caretaker, blah, blah, blah.
That must have been tough for him because I think he was more of a shy type. Didn't really want to talk.
I don't know. I never got that sense from him that he was always sort of gruff and miserable, and
Yeah.
he was a
Wanted to be
character.
left alone.
Like get off my lawn kind of
Exactly.
person.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. One of the 15 men from the collapsed tunnel in the basement,
Oh yeah.
his name was Frank. He came through the board several times.
And Jim.
And Jim.
Jim was another.
Yeah, that building. We could talk about it all night, but
Yes.
I also want to cover. So, you guys have done a few investigations in your time. You said you've been in the field for about 5 years now,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and mostly from an investigative point of view. But Trudy, you said you're a little sensitive.
I can feel the energy.
Feel the energy, but
Yeah.
not actually see or hear.
No.
Okay, so yeah, just a little bit to be able to pick up and know, like you're a living EMF detector.
I suppose you could call me that, yes, because I can feel it when they're around me.
So, was there another place other than the custom house that stood out from your career?
Sprucedale Hotel.
Brucedale Hotel. Oh my
It's
goodness.
a pioneer era hotel up in Muskoka, and it was built in 1899, I believe was the date, and it was a stop on the railroad going through Muskoka at that time, and the track where the rails were is still there. It's used as a snowmobile track now, but the hotel is still there. It operates as a bar and restaurant, and I have family who lives up there, and they were going away on vacation, and they asked us if we would come up and look after the house and babysit the cat. And so, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And we thought, okay, great. This gives us a little vacation time as well, and we can investigate some pioneer locations. So,
See, that's how I know you guys are in the right business. Just the way you said that,
Yeah.
rubbing your hands
Yeah,
together
yeah,
outside.
it's like a little kid at Christmas, Ooh, good. And so we previously had made contacts with another paranormal group that lives up that way, and they had organized an investigation. Just coincidence. At the same time, we were going to be up there looking after my family's house, and it's like, okay, awesome. So I contacted them, and they said, yeah, sure, come on and join us.
This was of the hotel.
Of the hotel, yeah. And it was a public ghost hunt, and they had a newspaper reporter from the local newspaper covering the event, and so it was all a big deal for everybody up in these little communities. And so we got in there. It is the most intense location I've ever been to. Custom House may be the most haunted. The Sprucedale Hotel is the most intense.
Now you're talking about for like the energy.
For paranormal.
Oh, yes.
One guy, he got scratches down his back. One woman was partially possessed. And this newspaper reporter saw something which scared him so much he fled the building and didn't come back. And there was no newspaper article written about,
No, there was never a
about
newspaper
the
article.
investigation afterwards. Yeah.
Did he never said what happened?
No, he saw something that just scared the hell out of him, and he was out of there, and we never saw him or
Wow, I've
anything
actually never
like that.
heard of that happening before, especially with a reporter. Usually they're more.
He was Mr. Skeptic.
Oh, okay.
He come in going, yeah, there's no such thing, and we go upstairs where all the rooms are, and he finds out in a hurry.
Wow. So did you guys have an experience, like actual, or was it just the feeling?
Well, I don't know what you got. I spent most of the evening just trying to elicit responses from our REM pod, which is a device that generates its own independent magnetic field, and it will alarm if that field is disrupted.
So if anything seen or unseen gets near it, it goes off.
You have to be very, very close to it.
Yeah.
And it also has to have an electromagnetic base to go through it.
Okay.
You can't just take a pencil and put it over top. It won't work.
But if a person.
But you've got to have electromagnetic energy react with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what REM stands for, is radiating electromagnetic pod.
Yeah, straightforward.
So I had that set up, and I was just trying to, and it went off all evening.
Oh, you can hear it because it's
It went
loud.
off all evening.
Yeah.
And so I was basically just sitting there the whole evening just trying to document. And Trudy was around and wandering the hotel, doing her part.
Oh yeah, with parts of the group, and we went into the one room at the very, very back to the one side, and we'd go in there, and they had this big dresser, big wooden dresser, and I had my back to it, and you could hear, like, it wasn't like latch, but you could hear kind of somebody shaking in the door trying to open that, so you'd turn and it would stop, and you'd, can you do that again? And it would stop. You turn your back and they'd shake it or knock, like it was knocking from the inside.
It's playing with you.
Yeah. They were just messing with you all night.
And in this hotel, it's also where I recorded on video the best capture I've ever gotten of an orb. And it actually came from this woman who was partially possessed. She was sitting on the couch, and you could see she was starting to zone out, that it was all starting to take place. And she got up and kind of went over into the corner of the room. And when she got up, this orb shot out from her, went around in a complete circle, and then back into her.
Really? So
It was amazing. I couldn't see it with my own eyes. I only got it on the video.
yeah, you wouldn't expect, like I said, some people when they see orb photography or in video, they just assume it's a bug or it's dust. But neither a bug nor dust would do like a circle and then
No,
come
they're
back
not
again.
intelligent. No.
And
Yeah.
it was illuminated. It was a bright blue color.
Oh. Now, is there any way to see this evidence? Like, is it posted anywhere from the investigation itself?
I've got a very lengthy group of YouTube videos of that investigation, and
Including the orb?
it's in there.
Very cool. So they just search on YouTube for what?
Just look up our YouTube channel, Ghost Hunt Paranormal.
Okay, yeah, and that's why anybody
And
listening
it's
to the podcast can go check it out right now.
It's the Sprucedale Hotel investigation.